Okay, so NBC could do that. They could get rid of Jay if they want to. And they may be getting closer to wanting to do that. Now, you wanted to go into, I think we should talk about what Rory actually talked about, or what he said, the words he used. And I think you wanted to comment on that, yeah?
Yeah, basically, Rory, it's pretty close to a 180.
It's a 180. I sent that to you.
Right.
It's a 180 that a DC politician would take notice of.
Yeah,
Like, wow, now that's a 180. Yeah, I was for it before I was against it.
That's a good,
okay.
The perfect line. Yeah. So Rory basically comes out at the JP McManus, and it's all over everything. It got messy. He used phrases like it got messy, and it shouldn't have gotten messy. And now we need to talk.
That's a warning shot. If you're thinking Rory, if Rory is speaking correctly, which is probably not true, because he's not good at this particularly. I don't know that he's bad at it, but he's not a trained professional. That was a shot at Jay, a big shot.
And that was going to be my point. Is these are all you had mentioned that they need to get rid of Jay. NBC needs to get rid of Jay. Everybody needs to get rid of Jay. Now Rory is saying, Jay, you messed things up. You didn't take Greg's phone calls. We need to have peace talks. We're going to lose more. We all know that more people after the British Open are going to defect. And that's pretty much what the whole article was. And they stuck Rory out there, and Rory was like, I could see Rory in the meeting, like, I'll stand up and do it. That's not a problem. And Jay's thinking, and Monahan back in March thinking, I got one shot. I got to scare these guys into folding. Because
I don't think Monahan's that smart. I think he's demonstrated time and again that he's not the guy. He's not smart enough for this.
He's obviously not the guy, but whether he's smart or not, because I think
not at this level.
Dumb strategy.
I mean, is he smart next to the dog catcher? Sure. I mean, sure, he's not a dope. But is he being dopey about this and failing as a CEO of some major organization? Absolutely.
Yeah, well, he's a joke. You were going to make Greg Norman, Phil Mickelson, and the Saudis fold because you thought you had a bigger stack than them? Please. I mean, that's ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Analogy. Great poker analogy. You can't disrespect your opponent. That's not a strategy, first of all.
Right.
Hoping that your opponent's dumber than you is not a good strategy at all.
And I do want to go back to one thing. You're talking about NBC and Rory, and that I think at the highest level, there was probably a meeting before the Scottish Open at an NBC, CBS, which basically said, hey, guys, we got to get together because the winds are changing direction. The sand is shifting beneath our feet. And, somebody might have said, hey, Rory, maybe you should soften your, so maybe the head of AT&T, who's Rory's, Rory's not an AT&T guy. What is Rory's big sponsorship? Maybe Taylor.
I don't even know. He is a Taylor.
Let me tell you this. He's a Taylor guy. And maybe
Rolex,
Taylor said
he's got a Rolex deal.
So, but I thought he was Omega.
Yeah, Omega. I'm sorry. It's another watch company. Yeah.
Either way, somebody might have said to Rory, maybe we should soften our stance. Because let me tell you something. If you've noticed, they brought back the Taylor commercial that also had Dustin Johnson in it.
Bryson hasn't left the airwaves either.
Right.
But let me interject right there, because that is a point I wanted to make today. And then you can react to it. So I'll give you the floor back. But the reason, when you texted me yesterday to say that this story was out there, and I hadn't seen it, that Rory had done a 181 and said, oh, no, all these things. They're nice guys. We need to work it out. That's the message. And we'll do that. It's time to work it out because they're nice guys.
Right.
Okay. Yesterday, whatever. After thinking about that for a minute, my thought was, obviously what changed? That was the first second, but what changed? Oh, well, I think I've nailed what changed. What would change you? What would happen that would make you do a 180 on your position in anything in life that you're negotiating or you want to have happen? Well, obviously something large. something, existential, to use that overused word, something that's could end the life of whatever you're trying to do, what would that be in this situation? Because they've done a 180. So something happened dramatic behind the scenes. And that can only be one thing: the official World Golf Rankings, which is run, as I have speculated here on this show a month ago, which is run by European Tour guys, because that's where it is. It's in the European Tour building in Europe, in London. They have been petitioned by Greg Norman, 2 weeks ago? Now? About 2 weeks?
Yes.
They want LIV
yes.
once on the OWGR, right?
Right.
And Greg said at the time, which I thought was funny, because Greg is a good CEO. We have a good case. He didn't overstate it. He just said what needed to be said, which is, we're petitioning and we have a good case. It's compelling, or whatever word he used. And over the weekend, or is probably when this came to be, after Oregon, probably after Pumpkin Ridge, the OWGR either reacted to that or have been thinking about it for the last few weeks and watching what's happening. But they called up Jay and said, those guys are going to be in the OWGR. LIV is going, those players are, we're not, whether we can't or can or not, they're going to be there. So there's been meetings, big time meetings behind the scenes, obviously. And we can talk a lot about that, because that would be interesting. For example, was Fred Ridley part of that conversation? I think so. I do. Masters chairman.
Yeah.
Augusta chairman. But the point was that OWGR got out to the PGA Tour and said, hey, that's what's going to happen. And when Jay, who should have been fired, reacted and said, shit, we gotta, it's over. It's over, and we have to react.
As I said on before, Greg Norman he had a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter. Yes. Now he just took the snap. He took a knee, and he's holding the football up as the clock's running.
Was it a fumble? Was it a penalty? What happened? Was it another touchdown? No, it was another touchdown or two, because the OWGR. That's what I'm saying. Well, do you disagree with that, or do you agree with that?
I agree with it, and I'm also going to add the court ruling, which allowed the players that wanted to play in the Scottish Open
Well,
play.
it's just an injunction. It's just a stay.
It's just an injunction, but you're right, it's not a ruling. However, the ruling also stated they can accumulate points, but he cannot put them in
for
the
the
FedEx.
Scottish Open, the thing they're playing.
For the Scottish
Open, 'cause they're playing
and,
it, sure.
and the British Open. And the British Open. So my point to that is also, you're going to have these guys that have now accumulated FedEx points, and all of a sudden you're going to have a FedEx field without guys. They're going to have to change the rules to put guys who have less points
that's
in.
a great
So
point.
it's just another.
Well, do you think? Yeah. Well, maybe I don't know. And this is not a show about golf particularly, but this is a great topic. Do you think, or do you know, that there are players that are going to qualify for the FedEx Cup who are on LIV? Like Justin Johnson or Bryson DeChambeau, for example.
I don't know. Obviously, if somebody wins the British Open who's on LIV, I'd have to look back at the results of the majors and
who's playing in is DJ playing there? Is Bryson playing there? I don't even know that.
No. So none of the there's four LIV guys. Harding is up on the board
in the Open, not the Scottish. The
Open. I think all the LIV guys are playing in the British Open. Yeah,
they are. Okay.
Yeah, I would, I'm sure. Well, they're all over there taking the week off. Right now, literally, they're all over at Rory's house.
I assume so, because they were all in Ireland.
Yeah, they're all in Ireland. They played in the JP McMahon's. Right now, the reason Rory's not playing is because everybody's at Rory's house in Hollywood, Ireland, having practicing and having hopefully a couple scotches. Yeah.
You think they're hanging out?
I think they're hanging out. I think right now it reminds me of one of those stupid medieval movies where they're plotting how to behead Jay.
Well, Jay's got to go, yeah. Well, and it's another, because we'll probably start to wrap up, but it takes us a while to wrap up a show. There's another point there I think I threw at you yesterday via text that was the following, which is Jay, because you said Jay's going to be fired. We know this. Been calling for it a long time. The players Now this 180, this is how stupid Jay is, or if assuming that he is running the show, this is how bad their messaging has been all along. Now the players that are on the PGA Tour are going to revolt because of what has happened. You created a super tour that screws us. It rewards the best guys. So, and then you're buying more of the European Tour and giving them more cards, which screws us. And the regular PGA Tour is now a minor league. And so the money's going to come from somewhere. We probably are thinking the money's going to get less in the tournaments that we're going to play in. So unless you make the Super Tour, the PGA Super Tour, you're nobody. All right, so all these things are going to factor in. And now we know for a fact that you've been screwing us for 30 or 40 years out of a lot of money, because now in the stroke of a pen, it didn't even take you more than a couple of days to create a super tour with $25 million purses, where the purses that we've been playing for are more like 8.
Yeah. Well, so,
and the players are going to revolt.
And to tie this all
they should
in
revolt
with everything else that's going on literally in the world, is you have a situation where he was able to just all of a sudden helicopter money everywhere.
That's what I'm saying.
All of a sudden
they had it.
And
they had the money.
They had the money, and
They've had
point
the money
that I'm
all
making
along. The question is,
with
where's
the
it
whole
going?
media and NBC and the higher ups, the political.
That's all for this video. For Dr. Darkstar and me, thanks for watching. This is a show about finding logical conclusions, and we appreciate you coming along with us. We'll be adding episodes as fast as we can. There's certainly no shortage of things going on in this world.